All right, so I know this next story is going to seem even more boring than a tunnel story.
Boring!
But we think it's actually a big deal.
Tesla posted on its blog last week a new standard for the low voltage connectors that go into making an EV. Tesla says that there are over 200 types of connectors currently, and that with this new standard, that number could be dropped to 6.
Yeah, Tesla says this new LVCS, or low voltage connector standard, quote, expands upon the same 48-volt electronic architecture used for Cybertruck. It meets the requirement for increased spacing for 48-volt operation and is available in industry standard light blue. The 48-volt architecture is the optimal long-term choice, requiring 1/4 of the current to deliver the same amount of power. Designed to enable reliable autonomous vehicles, it utilizes robust single-wire sealing and independent secondary locking mechanisms while minimizing the package size. Tesla invites all device suppliers and vehicle manufacturers to join us in this initiative. Any questions can be directed to lvcs@tesla.com.
So, I don't get it. Why is Tesla essentially giving away the work that they put into designing and engineering a new standard connector for 48-volt vehicles, especially if there aren't any 48-volt vehicles out on the road yet, other than the Cybertruck?
Well, for one thing, Tesla wants the auto industry to switch from 12 volts to 48-volt batteries because, as they said, with the increased voltage, you can reduce the amperage by 4 times and use way less copper in the vehicle, which makes the vehicles lighter and cheaper. If Tesla can get other manufacturers to sign on to this standard, like they did with NACS, which is the new standard for high-speed DC charging, then the number of these connectors being made will increase and the price per connector will drop, which helps the entire industry.
Okay, so this is not to make Tesla money. It's not like they're saying, buy our connector.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think they're going to make them.
They're saying, make this connector, and there's only 6 of them, so the scale goes through the roof because the manufacturers get to go like, we can make a ton of these because if we're selling them to Ford and Tesla and GM and Toyota, we can make a ton, and that'll bring down the cost, and that saves Tesla money along with the entire auto industry. So if Tesla says that these 6 connectors are designed to meet the power and signal requirements for over 90% of typical device applications, this seems like a no-brainer.
That's if the rest of the auto industry will jump on this 48-volt bandwagon, and so far, none of them have. You know, we've heard Sandy Munro talk about, like, early in his career, he knew this was a better standard, 48 volts, but none of the companies you work for, like Ford, would do it.
And I mean, there's a bit of a learning curve. I mean, if you're grown up in Detroit and it's been 12 volts since 1930s when they switched up from 6 volts, it's got to be tough because, like, you and your dad and your grandfather probably all use 12 volts and they all know, well, you've got to keep this and do that. But now you're going up to 48 volts and it's slightly different.
And the great part about a 48-volt battery, as we're finding out, is they are so much smaller and less weight than a 12-volt. So you have to take up less space in the car and less weight carrying it around. So you're saving that cost and weight. But I think dealers may not like this because this is easier and cheaper repairs, and they make a lot of their money on expensive repairs.
But if the parts are cheaper, doesn't that make the repair cheaper, but only in the supplies, and so they could still couldn't they get a bigger markup here? Because now the drawer of connectors has 6 slots in it instead of needing an entire bay. There's like, oh, the electrical connectors. I don't know. I hope that we can switch to this standard and that it's as amazing as Tesla says that it is.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching Now You Know Clips.
You can watch full episodes of Tesla Time News on Tuesdays and in-depths on Fridays. Just click the link down below and head over to the Now You Know channel.